Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Truman Show. And tonight, my guest is Alondra Markman, a survivor who made a resilience on himself, who became a poet and an artist, and is now a witness, explaining us what is gone through, what he saw with his own eyes. And he will talk with me tonight about the fake matrix, about who are the builders of this matrix, where they are coming from, and how this matrix is working. And we will talk also about the controllers of the matrix that we can see in our world, in our society. And we will talk about what they are able to do to us, trickeries, fakeries, manipulation. And this is the Truman Show I am talking to you about in my show since 3 years now. So I'm going to place my guest on the screen, and I will unmute his microphone. So welcome, Alondra Markman.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So I'm going to show to the audience, yes, I'm going to show a little of your different website. So I think it's somewhere here. And now I don't know how can I make the screen. Okay, maybe I cannot. So I have to go there. So this is the website of Andrea Markman, Ontarian Journeys. And he's explaining here how you can get a resilience from different kind of traumas. And there is another website. It's called alandramarkman.com. And here he's explaining you how he became an artist and a poet. And he's also making poetry on demand. And I can show you also his YouTube channel here. So you can see his YouTube channel is having a lot of interviews already that have been done. And I'm going to show the interviews that I have seen recently from this list. So there is an interview with him and Anneke Luka. He's talking with her about his different trauma. He has been a ritual satanic victim of satanic ritual abuse, sexual abuse, MK Ultra, and he has been also on different black project, military project, like the Montauk project, secret space program project, and he's talking about all these different aspects in his different interviews. So you can go here to see a little more about his personal story, personal life. But tonight we are going to dive into the subject of the fake matrix more specifically. And let me see if I forgot to show some website. Yeah, maybe I can show you my website, Truman Plus. And this is the article I have written in 2023. It's about bio-nano electromagnetic weapons, and it's about mind control and targeted individual. Since I am myself a targeted individual since 29 years, and that's why the discussion is going to be interesting, because I have witnessed the fake matrix myself very, very closely. And whatever Alondra is going to say about the fake matrix is going to be relevant according to what I have seen myself of it. So, Alondra, can you introduce yourself a little after all what I said and shown about you? Maybe some little pieces are missing.
Sure. Hello, I'm Alondra. I am a deprogrammer. I help people get free of mind control, and I do spiritual development work with people, particularly with advanced meditators and magical workers of various kinds. So I'm a healer for other healers, is the short description. I work with mostly people who are helping others. And that's fun. That's my main work. I host guided meditation groups, which deal with all sorts of different things on different levels. Some of them are big picture, dissolving the matrix things, and some of them are more just personal healing and emotional release kind of things. So, it's a range.
Yeah, so I know that in the stories I have watched on your videos, I know that you have gone through a lot of different programs, and you have seen actually the military bases. You have seen who are operating these bases. You have seen that some of them are humans, some of them are not, and some of them are even humans, but not from Earth. And they are interested in controlling the Earth and its population, and they are interested in time traveling, and they are interested in having and building a kind of army of children, MK Ultra children, who have specific psychic skills, and maybe because at the first place, they have a kind of property or a power that they seem to be able to see through them. They have psychic skill and they have a very old soul, and that's also because of their bloodline. They will be interested to have and to build this kind of army with these children, and these children will be having going through MK Ultra trauma-based mind control, and then there will be a kind of tool for them to operate for their goals. And what they want to do is a war on humanity, a war on Earth, and through time manipulation. So this is a little expose of what we can guess is the fake matrix. But what else can we say exactly about this fake matrix? How this is working, and what you have seen about it?
Sure. I appreciate the summary. Yes, there is a large army of enslaved children performing psychic tasks for evil aliens. It's crazy, but it's true. As far as I'm concerned, everything that is of love is not of the Matrix. The Matrix is based in forces of creation other than love, sometimes direct hatred, but more often indifference. Love is the foundation of reality and real life and everything that is not the Matrix. So that's the very short introduction.
And then we can say that this matrix is maybe around us, and maybe not only around us, but around the Earth, and maybe a few other planets on the solar system. And this
is true.
And this is a kind of a globe with all these planets inside, and this is a globe emitting and broadcasting some negative patterns, negative waves, maybe psychotronic waves also on everyone living here. And this is maybe here since a long time. Maybe it's 12,000 years that it's here, and it's operated and built by these entities coming from very far away. These aliens, the Dracos.
Yes, true. Yes, reptilians from the Draco constellation, reptilians from Orion, and Greys from Orion. Greys are the smaller ones with the big black eyes, and Greys from Zeta Reticulum. Different groups working together, negative Sirian groups, negative Orion groups, negative Zeta Reticulum. I just name them after the stars that they come from. That's kind of the convention for these things. It's a crude label, but it's something. So, yeah, we have a lot of these negative aliens in power. And our perceptions are extremely limited. They're not naturally supposed to be limited only to 3D. It's a very strange situation that we only perceive physical reality. That's not normal for humans. Physically, we're capable of perceiving way, way more, but our range of perceptions has been limited, and a box has been built around us so that we perceive very little of what's actually happening. And our reality is very limited to a few layers. And that's for purposes of mind control. Yeah, our lifespans have been artificially shortened. We're supposed to live 10 times as long in these vessels, these biological vessels. We're supposed to live 900 years, not 90 years. So there's been a lot of also biological and genetic manipulation to degrade the expression of the human genome and make us into short-lived slaves who never attain wisdom. So that's my general take.
Yeah. And you have witnessed these entities by yourself. You have been confronted to them, and they were maybe in these military bases and underground.
Yes.
And so you know for sure they are real.
I do. I had the misfortune of being born into a multi-generational Luciferian family with very deep bloodline connections to the negative Sirians, those from the star Sirius B specifically. It's a collapsed star system, so Sirius is a trinary system, A, B, and C. Most of the negative aliens come from Sirius B. My family has a very strong connection to the Sirius B aliens. We are genetically modified. And so those aliens take a great interest in me and my family, unfortunately for me. So I grew up with them. And they took me all over the world and also off planet to different places, bases. Famously, Montauk on the eastern end of Long Island, in the state of New York, about 3 hours east of New York City. Also at McClellan Air Force Base in California, in Sacramento, California, and a number of other locations. And this goes back in my family also a ways. My biological father grew up on an Air Force base in Germany. And there was a lot of this activity going on there. So yeah, it's very tied in with military bases, especially Air Force bases in my case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now maybe they are Space Force bases. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's maybe a kind of hybridation between humans and aliens, and then they are making a kind of engineering of the DNA of humans also, and
This
maybe
is true.
yeah, and then maybe your family is part of that, the result of that, and
Yes.
so actually, it's millions of children who are being, used in this kind of programs every year. Millions of children are disappearing, and they are not
Mm.
all being eaten by Satanists. They are also used in this kind of programs as soldier. And the soldier, what they are going to do? They are going to do a time war, and this time war is requiring some kind of skills that only this kind of children coming from these hybrid families, and they have this power, and for these entities, these aliens, and there are different species of aliens also involved. Some of them are working together, some of them are cooperating with humans and military, and some of them are also fighting with each other and with humans from Earth or humans from other planets. And the skills of these children will be to open some kind of portals, and these portals will help these aliens or these military base operatives to travel through time and space, and then to alter the timelines in where we are all living together. So it seems that by controlling Earth and some other planets around Earth, they are able to control the time in which we are living. And if it's not enough, they can go back in the past and change things so that their plans, their goals will arrive and will come in our present life. So is it only a time manipulation that we are having in this fake matrix, or is it also involving a manipulation of the DNA of human beings, hybridation with other species, mind control, psychotronic with psychotronic weapons? And can we say that all these techniques and technology are coming from these aliens, or are humans involved in making, building, creating, inventing this kind of technologies so to please their masters? Because I think that maybe humans have these aliens as their masters.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I resonate with everything you just said. That's all true. A lot of the infrastructure, even the conventional infrastructure of the internet, so-called AI being created now, it's very tied in with the negative alien agendas. And yes, there are humans who are serving them directly, who are, offered lives of luxury and wealth in exchange for their soul, essentially. Just a classic Faustian bargain, really. And we're being pushed into a world which is less and less based on human interaction, where we surrender more and more of our power to these evil, you know, large language learning models are just the beginning. Of course, there's a great deal of technology that's not disclosed, and it's being trickled out slowly to the public. What they're actually working with is easily 100 or 200 years beyond what's being released to the public. So there's always this gap, and there's a long-term plan to spoon feed people more and more of these evil things so that they become more normal and more used to them, so that the crab doesn't realize that the water is starting to boil and all that. um, so, yeah. Well, But on the positive side, we are creator beings. We are agents of the divine. We are agents of God, goddess, and we have the power to unravel every bit of these things as they come. And even before they come, the bad guys are not the only time travelers. It's also the good guys. This war has multiple sides. There are factions, positive human factions from the future that come back to try to change the timeline in positive ways. So, as you say, it is a war. There's a lot of back and forth. The success of any one team is not guaranteed. The only thing which is guaranteed is that Earth herself is transcending all of this crap and becoming her own sovereign planet. And that means that only ascended beings in full spiritual integrity are going to live here. So whether or not that includes, us and the people we know is kind of to be determined. The future is unwritten mostly. But certainly Earth is proceeding to a level of reality beyond good and evil. And hopefully we're going to follow her.
So, do we have to rely only on Earth to ascend by itself, or can we help a little?
Well,
Can we help a little, and how to get free from these entities and to find the exit of the fake matrix? Fake matrix.
ah, yes, the important questions. No, we're not reliant on Earth. It is possible to ascend individually without the help of Earth. That has always been possible. It always will be possible. We have the seed of creator again within us. Anything creator can do, we can do by aligning with that greater power. So it's always possible to ascend no matter how dire the circumstances are. And we don't need Earth. But I like to advertise that as the main vessel of ascension because it's the easiest way. It's the most common way that most of us are going to get there, just to ride with Earth as she goes along. It's very, very simple. It's very organic. It's very light. Individual ascension, independent of Earth, is still very difficult to achieve, always has been, always will be. It requires lifetimes of ascetic practice. It's not a simple thing, and it's not something I can really say most people could even do. So that's why I prefer the going with Earth approach. Yeah.
And the builders, I will not say they are the creators because I don't think the Dracos have creativity inside. So they are the builders of the Matrix. So who are they? Where are they coming from? And I think I have read somewhere that maybe they are their own descendant. Because the ancestors were genuine biological beings, and they have
Yes.
made a kind of fusion with their own AI system, and then
Mm.
they became themselves hybrids with their AI, and this AI, this alien AI, is the one hive minds with the ancestors of the Dracul, and then they have spread all over the universe, and they are swallowing the different world where there are intelligent beings, and then they have come to the solar system and to the Earth, and now it's their properties. But these entities, these aliens, are themselves they are not organic. They are kind of hybrid, and they have made a fusion with their AI. And now what we see on Earth is the political system, the industrial system, and the economic system. They are trying to make us integrate ourselves into a kind of metaverse and kind of AI, and then they kind of want us to make a fusion with a local AI, and this local human-based AI it's actually under control by this alien AI. So this is the hive mind repeating itself.
Yes, I agree with all of that. I would just stress that the Draco Empire at this point actually is quite small. It's not the whole universe. It's a very, very limited territory. Most of the solar system is already free. So Earth is kind of late to the game. I mean, there are different stages of development on different planets. But for instance, the humans of Venus have already ascended to higher dimensions. So this is not a process only happening somewhere else in other systems. It's happening here. And each planet has its own destiny. The Venusians have already ascended, and some of them are helping us now, from the higher dimensions. Specifically, the sixth dimension is where I meet most of the Venusian people. They're people just like us. They had a planetary society just like we did, and they have now advanced and they're now helping us. So The actual extent of the Draco control is quite small. It's basically just Earth, Mars, well, it used to be Maldek before it exploded, and a few other parts just outside our solar system. But many of these places are already free. Orion is already free in the present. So the baggage and the karma that we have from Orion is based in the past. So certainly from our perspective right now, it seems like it's swallowing the whole universe. But I just want to remind everybody that this is a very small thing in the bigger picture. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you are talking about some people who freed themselves, some of them are aliens, but some of them are also maybe um, other human colonies, because the humans from Earth have been taken by the Dracos and then spread on other planets to make some colony. Because we have to understand that they are under control of the Earth since maybe 12,000 years. So they have plenty of time to do that.
Yeah, I basically agree with your timeline. Yeah, 12,000 years ago, 12 to 11,000 years is the fall of Lemuria and Atlantis and the fall of human consciousness. The biblical fall, if you want to use that timeline. So yeah, I basically agree with that. And I also agree with what you were saying. It's the descendants of the Draco and the hybrid descendants fused with the AI are the main architects of this matrix system. Yeah, as we have experienced it since the fall of Atlantis. Yeah.
So maybe the first Dracos a few I don't know, maybe a million years ago, maybe they were good aliens. They were good, and when they have made the fusion with their AI, they became evil. And I think that you say even yourself that on Earth there is this new religion, Satanism, and this is totally directly inspired by the Draco philosophy. I would call this philosophy the Dracism.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know the pre-modern history of the Draco quite well. I hope eventually some of the Draco themselves can go public and tell their own story. That would really make my heart sing. Because all I can really do is speculate. It's the Draco didn't really share information with me. What I've gleaned is from my own observation. They keep their minds very closed. I mean, I am telepathic, but and I have been in person with Draco quite often in my growing up time and on alternate timelines as well. But it's very, very hard to get in their minds and learn their histories. Their minds are very closed. They're part of this negative hive mind, as you're saying. So it's very hard to read their thoughts. It's very hard to get a coherent version of their history. I really crave such a history, to be honest. So I hope more of it comes out. I'll do my best to tell what I know. I don't know a lot about the ancient history of the Draco or who they were before the AI fusion, so I'll just say that up front.
Yeah, and do you think that the elevation of Earth and humans, is it something that is also happening within oneself? And is it something related to understand the truth and searching the seek for the truth and the freedom? Is it the way to elevate everyone?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, the truth
And love.
the
And
truth
love.
is universal. And love. Yes.
Truth and love.
Truth and love. Yeah. The search for truth and love are universal. They will happen on any world, enslaved or free. The search is utterly universal. It can never be taken from the human genome or the human spirit. It's just essential to humanity that we have our identity as seekers. We are a race of spiritual seekers. That's the nature of humanity. That can never be actually taken out of the species. It's too intrinsic to what we are. The structure of our DNA is created for a personal experience of creator, of God, goddess. That's what we are. That's what we're actually designed for by our true creators. So our true creators are, for the most part, benevolent ETs, some reptilian groups also, positive reptilian groups, but many came together to create a hybrid race in a positive sense. So we're also a hybrid race. Before all this manipulation of the last 12,000 years, we are also a benevolent hybrid race from a very long time ago. So Everything that's been done is just a manipulation of our outer layers. On our inner layers are still shining with the light of Creator.
Okay, and this is the way with truth and love that we are. This is going to lead to a real freedom, because actually now under this fake matrix we have a fake freedom and a fake free will.
Hmm. Yes, it's true that we as targeted individuals have a leg up sometimes in the spiritual sense, because if we do manage to get free and get safe and, get above the level of the attacks, it really helps our personal evolution. So there's motivation to do that from a soul level. There's motivation to go in and have a targeted individual experience because it does benefit us spiritually. It's a big initiation.
Okay. And now, can we talk about what I live as a targeted individual, and I have witnessed the controllers of the
Sure.
matrix, because I explain in my shows since 3 years, and actually I blow the whistle about the targeting industrial complex since 2015. And what I have seen from myself is that the targeted individual, they are the only ones who are dealing directly with the controllers, and the controllers, they are coming to them and they show their real face. And what a targeted individual can do is observation, analysis, using logical thinking, and at some point, any targeted individual will start to see the matrix, because the controllers are coming to him. And what I have seen about the controllers is that they seem to be human beings, but now my point of view is different. I don't think they are real human beings. I think they are not really from within this matrix. They are able to go out and in as they want. They are, of course, the servant of the masters and the Draco, the builders of the matrix, but they are like, in the World War II, there were a concentration camp, and my father was as a French resistant in the French Alps. He was a resistant there, and he has been in the Nazi camps. So maybe this is also one of the reasons I have been targeted, because he has been under the experimentation of Dr. Mengele disciple.
Oh.
Yeah. So. And I think that there is another hypothesis that in my bloodline there is a little Ashkenazi DNA somewhere, and I think also it's the case with you. So
Yes.
so I think there are many reasons why we are being targeted, and these are one of the reasons. And
Yeah.
in these concentration camps, there are the Nazi, and under the Nazi, there are some prisoners who are becoming the leaders of the camp. We call them the capo. And I think that the controllers are like the capo inside the Nazi concentration camp. So they are working sort of for the Dracos. They are able to go out and in of the matrix, and they are controlling us, and then of course targeting the targeted individual directly and showing their real face to them. And what I can say that is that they are maybe some kind of hybrids, or some kind of clone, or some kind of cyborg, and they are not human. They maybe don't have a soul inside. And maybe what I see from them is even not real at all. Maybe this is a kind of hologram. Maybe it's an avatar. And they are controlling this avatar like a drone and from a remote place. So this is really interesting what I have come to see the past years, because I have noticed that in this fake matrix, they are able to surround each person inside a single different construct. Like in the movie Matrix, there is a construct in which they are training themselves. So it's looking like the real world, but it's totally fake. And I have been witnessing this myself since 1 or 2 years, everything around me is completely fake. It's a construct. And even the people I meet on the street when I am walking or driving, everywhere I go, I will meet people that are not real people. They are avatars and they are controlled by the controllers from a remote place like a drone. And
Yeah.
they are making some kind of setup in front of me. They are making some kind of like a movie show, like it's like a script, and
Mm.
it's what I call the Truman Show, but some people are calling this the gang stalking. And
Mm.
this is what I saw from my point of view, what these controllers might be. So,
Yeah.
what can you say about the targeting and the targeted individual, and about the Truman Show of the gang stalking, and who is making this? Maybe it's these controllers of the Matrix.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. Sometimes I speak about false synchronicity. So there's real synchronicity when your spirit is leading you somewhere, and then false synchronicity when the controllers are creating circumstances to get you where they want you to go. The more free you get, the more you experience real synchronicity, which cuts through the matrix. And even if you're very, very deep in a simulation, if you're aligned with true synchronicity and the true light of Creator, it moves within everything. It moves within every illusion, no matter how dense the illusion, how evil it is. The light of Creator always operates within everything. Even if we were to enter a virtual reality, a more obvious virtual reality right now, and everything was programmed to happen in a certain way in the virtual reality that we were sharing. I'm just getting hypothetical. Even in the context of that world, that more obviously fake world, the creator still finds ways to work within that context. So even when every response is pre-programmed, there's always life force moving through the whole system. All of these holograms are simply abuses of life force, hijacking of life force. They don't actually create anything new. They just manipulate perception, which is already there to be manipulated. So they haven't created anything. The illusion is that they've created something. Nothing new has been created. All they've done is twist it around. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I try to interact with them, so this is also a trap for targeted individual. They are forcing the targeted person to interact with them. So the trick is to ignore them totally. And then the manipulation they are trying to do is falling apart. They cannot make you react and interact with them. So this is making them lose the game. Actually,
Yes.
when you want to win this hyper game theory game, the only way to win is to not play the game. And when I try to interact with them, I do this very, comfortably. I just laugh in my beer, and I try to talk with them, and I can see that they are acting like a real, trucker, a real postman, a real singer, a real baker, a real whatever. They are trying to behave like that. And if I try to interact a little more and a little aggressively, but not becoming angry, just trying to probe who they are, and then I try to ask few questions, and after a moment, I see that they are bugging. I see that they cannot compute anymore what I am doing with them. So I see that they are not real human, and they have a kind of program inside who is telling them how to behave, in a shop. They will pretend to be a waitress. They will pretend to be a seller, etc. And they have little program inside them who tell them how to behave like that. But if I try to interact with them a little deeper, then suddenly I see that this is fake. This is a way I pass the time. I play with that, but at some point it's becoming boring. And my only hope is that I will find the exit of this construct they place me in, because around me I cannot see anyone genuine anymore. And even if I go far, I take the car, the train, the bus, whatever. I go far, and then on that place again, I will meet only fake things, fake people, etc. And maybe only the friends I have met many years ago, maybe they are the only real people. But of course, they have managed to cut all my relationship with my family and my friends since many years. So the only genuine people is the old one, and I don't have any contact with them. And all the people I know since a few months, a few years recently, yeah, I think they are all controllers, they are all avatars, etc. So they have made me almost become crazy about this, but I stay on my feet on the ground. So, and about the Truman Show, the Truman Show, I always say that this is fractal. There is different layers of the Truman Show. It's the gang stalking around one person, but it's also what is happening in your town. It's also what is happening in your area, in your district, in your neighborhood, and also in your country. And then there is there is an individual Truman Show, and there is a local Truman Show. It's larger, and then there is a global Truman Show. It's the geopolitics, and what we can see since a few years on, but since many years with Emmanuel Macron, with Donald Trump, with Vladimir Putin, with Zelensky, with everyone on this planet, the geopolitical show. It's also a Truman Show. It's a circus. It's a movie. They are actors. Sometimes they are really actors, and they are coming from Hollywood or something. And sometimes they are crisis actors. So they are trained by NATO or some kind of military or basis, and they pretend to be something or someone. And sometimes they are also MK Ultra person placed in high position. And this is also in politics, in cinema industry, in music industry, arts, and everywhere. And so we have Truman Show, different layers. It's fractal, and this is all made by the controllers, the capo, the agents that are making this world a construct, a fake matrix, a manipulation that has been placed here since a long time by the aliens.
Yeah. I basically agree with that. I think I'm going to start calling him Vladimir Putin, like the fry dish. That would make me happy. That was a good one. But yeah, I definitely see what you see. A lot of this is stage managed. A lot of these leaders are actors or clones or straight up holograms. It's infuriating. It's a very lonely experience, eh? I'm glad we're talking. It makes it a little bit less lonely because maybe we have a few starting points to make something more authentic, a more human future, more human relationships. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially just if it's a waitress in a restaurant or something like those examples. I try to just be very spacious about it because you never know if the person is an authentic human or not. And so it's like they could just be an authentic person who's being shallow. That happens all the time. That's perfectly fine. Or they could be not a human. And I try to treat them the same way, regardless of their reality or lack of reality. I like that you bring up non-reactivity. That's a very important lesson of all of this matrix experience, equanimous mind, as the Vipassana teachers say, to keep your inner balance, to keep your non-reactivity. Okay, maybe this is a computer, maybe this is a human. All right, I'm just gonna, keep my integrity and keep my love and my light and my voice. Yeah.
And one day, it was 1 month before, one day I was fed up by all what they were doing to me in the streets. And of course, it's not only what they do in the street, but they are also preventing me from sleeping almost every night. And but because they are torturing me, and I know that they can torture me from very long distance. They have all sorts of weapons, but they also need sometimes to be very close. And then there is a car, a truck on just in front of the house, or it's simply the neighbors when they are not here. Then they manage to install themselves, and their weapons are short distance. So I am under torture. I am under the Truman Show of the gang stalking in the street. I know the torture. I cannot do a lot of things because I have been in India. I have lived there for 4 years. I have been in Germany, in Switzerland, and by the way, I now don't live anymore near Switzerland. But before that, I have always lived near Switzerland in the French Alps. And I know that Switzerland, with the CERN and the synchrotron, and there is a Montauk military black op base in Switzerland underground. And of course, I was having a lot of Truman Show when I was living there, because Switzerland is very nearby. But now I live in the north of France, and I am not very far from Belgium, and it's also the NATO headquarters. So actually, I told them in front of the camera, I told them, because I know they are one of my viewers, the controls. So I told them, because sometimes I talk to them, it's sometimes it's necessary to make some kind of, I want to precise a little things because you are going too far. And then I told them that if they were going to continue to harass me in the street, I was going to break their legs. And I have shown them that I have some tools to do that. And I was not sure they were going to understand me. So I went down to the street, and of course it was in the middle of the night, so there was no one. So I decided to break some windows of the cars. I know it's them. And then the military police came, and they were talking with the fake neighbors. And then the other neighbors, the military police went away, and the other neighbors just in front of my home, they decided to talk with the first neighbors. And after that, nothing happened. But you know what? After that, they stopped. They stopped the harassment in the street. And I don't mean in front of my house. I mean everywhere. If I go 10 or 50 kilometers far, the harassment has stopped.
That's nice.
So it means that sometimes you have to be not always a nice gentleman. But of course, don't be violent, and don't hurt anyone. But for sure, I know that these controllers, they are not human. Maybe there is also a trick they can be using. It's I think that they can also enter the body of a real human, and they can control him from a remote place. So they can enter inside a real human, and maybe just for a few minutes, and then they can control him in doing something against the targeted person. But it doesn't mean that this person is always a controller. It's just for a few minutes a controller will be inside him. But of course, we don't know. So that's why we have to be careful. Maybe they are just robots. Maybe they are humans being controlled. We don't know. And sometimes they are not the controllers at all. They are real humans, And I have seen that we can find out. When I go to a small shop that is, it's a single owner and one employee. There is one manager and one employee. It's very, very, very small, small shop. There is a great chance that they are humans. But if I go in a big store like I don't remember the name of the store you have in the US, but if you go in the
Best Buy.
if you go in a big store, you can be sure this store, if it is allowed to do business since so many years, it's because they have made a pact with the controllers, and the controllers are controlling the store. So of course, you will see more likely less humans in the managers and in the sellers, etc. Even sometimes many customers will be fake if you go there. So this is my point of view, and sometimes you have to tell them stop. And that's what I did. And since then, they are stopping the harassment. But the torture, of course, they are continuing. And this I know I cannot do anything. So I am not going to, make the harassment back to them. I know the thing is going to be solved in another way. So I just wait and I pray. And I give my love to them sometimes. But sometimes they are not giving me back. And I just hope that the awakening of all the earth is going to occur very soon. And that's the only way I think that we are going to be freed and relieved from the targeting for the targeted individual.
Yeah, that may be true. Although, yeah, individual liberation, it remains always possible. We don't have to be on the Earth's timeline. You can always do it on your own timeline as well. To reiterate that, yeah, it's harder, but it's doable.
And if I told you this little story, it's because I think that I have proven by my action that what I saw before was exactly what I saw. Because if I was wrong that there was no controllers in the shops, in the street, why suddenly it has gone when I told them to stop? So it means that I was right. It was them.
Yeah, there are many ways out. Yeah, sometimes sometimes a bit of property damage may be helpful. I don't advocate for this, but
No.
yeah, no, it's very important to be discerning. And to really know yourself, where your own thoughts are coming from, to get to know your own mind very well, which thoughts are really yours, which ones you can really trust. Because sometimes intuition will ask you to do very funny things like that.
Yeah.
And it's good to know. It's good to know if that's coming from your own divine intelligence. Like, is this truly, does this make me really feel more empowered, or am I leaking power through this action? That's kind of the basic question.
Yeah. And they are also making a lot of sexual tortures on me. They are raping me, etc. But I know that they are doing to every targeted individual. Mostly it's women, but they do that on men also. And I think sometimes they want to exacerbate my libido, my sexual energy. And sometimes I think they want to crush it. So I don't know exactly what they are looking for, but this is 29 years. So before attacking one of your controllers, just wait to be targeted more than 30 years, okay? So
yeah,
I'm
sorry to hear about. Yeah. Oh, sorry to hear about the sexual targeting.
Yeah. And I have watched your interviews, and I know that you have gone through a lot of horrible things, sexual also.
This is true.
Yeah. And I think they are harvesting the energy from that, or I don't know exactly what they want.
Yes.
And so I have seen a video about explaining that science has found out, probably, that the universe is a computer simulation with digital information hidden inside the physical laws. So do you think that the scientists on Earth, when they are trying to search for the truth themselves, they will be blocked by the fake matrix, and they will not be able to find out the real truth of the universe? They will just be blocked by the wall of the fake matrix, and whatever experiment, whatever laws they will find out, it will be the law and the physics within the fake matrix, and maybe they cannot see the real thing. Or is it possible that they can go through the wall of the matrix, and then they can see something real of the universe. And then does it mean that the universe is a simulation? And then the Dracos have understood that, and then they have built their own to trick us a second time.
Yeah. I want to emphasize again how local the illusion is. It is not the span of the whole universe. The universe itself, in my opinion anyway, is not a simulation. It's very trustworthy. But there are small pockets that we live in that have been hijacked, perverted, made into funhouse mirror experiences. So I don't think it's the universe as a whole. I trust the universe as a whole. I think a lot of what's happening with mainstream science and particularly theoretical physics, I think is where we're kind of going here. I think a lot of that research is simply co-opted, stolen, people are paid off, people are killed. I think it's a much more material, 3D kind of kind of control system there. I don't think they need to do a lot of virtual reality control of these things. I think most of the control is on more obvious levels. Yeah.
So yeah, because I've seen you, I have heard you say that the control they do on upon us is controlling also our perception of time and everything, and that you said that it's kind of living in base 10 world that is not
Yeah.
the real 12 base universe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an important one. I was reminded of that. I was reading, I think that came from Barbara Marciniak, that specific thing. There's a section in Bringers of the Dawn, her channeled book from the 80s or early 90s, of the Pleiadians. And there's a section about base 10 versus base 12. And I found that really illuminating. And that's when that kind of woke up my memory, actually helped me retrieve some of my memories that I had blocked out. And it was very helpful because it was saying in the book very similar things to what my guides had said when I was traveling outside the body, when the body was being tortured and I was having basically shamanic journeys outside the body. I heard very similar things. So I just want to give also credit to Barbara Marciniak there and recommend that book because it's very lovely and it helped me get the memories back. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, our math is very, very funny. I mean, everything about how we build and how we live is based on a very shallow understanding of geometry, of space, of math. I mean, we're not supposed to be living in like rectangular boxes all the time. Like just the shapes of our living spaces, like really, really basic things that we hardly ever think about because they're so common. Like all of these things are engineered to like cut off the corners of our consciousness, like literally and figuratively, and like suppress feminine consciousness, perpetuate like toxic patriarchy, like the design, the physical design of our structures, like as one example that I'm giving is it's to limit consciousness. So yeah, and to make things into this very awkward, like very diminished version of the masculine kind of experience that we're having. Yeah.
And maybe we have different timelines possible, and we can maybe say that if there are different timelines, it's kind of the waveform of time, and this waveform can be also seen as the multiverse. Maybe the different timeline is the waveform of time, and the multiverse is the particulate form of time. It's different universe is different time. Maybe it's not separate universe. It's maybe the same universe as ours, but in different time. And the time travel is able to jump from timeline to timeline, and maybe it's also done by jumping from one universe to another.
Yes, that is definitely true. Although there are certain there are agreements in the multiverse about whether and how this can be done, and the controllers on Earth have very little access to that level of consciousness or technology. The technology they're using here is quite crude, actually, by multiversal standards. It's incredibly primitive. It's not advanced like it appears. I mean, in our context, obviously, we see the things they do and they appear advanced. But in the broader context, they haven't even begun to understand multiversal physics. Even the most advanced of the controllers is incredibly primitive from a multiversal perspective. Um, so they're doing this to a very limited extent, but it's really nothing compared to what can actually be done if you have a society of, sentient people working together in harmony on these things. Like it's just exponentially different. It's much more vast. So again, I just want to say the controllers are working with very, very teeny tiny parts of reality.
Yeah. So maybe we can see a last part of the show by making a kind of brainstorming about the different ideas that you are talking about in your other interviews, because tonight we have seen different ideas and concepts. We have seen the hybrids, we have seen the AI, the alien AI, the Draco coming from the Draco system, but they are kind of a reptilian aspect, and there are other aliens with a reptilian aspect, but maybe not the same color, and they are not the Dracos. Maybe they are not evil as them. And so we have seen the clones. We have not talked about the age progression and age regression. So they are able to clone someone, and then from a toddler, they will make an adult in just a few seconds, and they can do the reverse. But maybe the mind of the person will remain the same during this process. Yeah, and they have done this on your mother, I think. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and a clone cannot live more than 6 years, and they are able to repeat the process until the mind is cloned too many times on different copies, and then after sometimes the copy of copy of copy, there is nothing more inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have talked about the secret space program, the Montauk bases. We have talked about Switzerland. We have talked about the US. We have talked about the time travel, the children being kidnapped and being used for that, millions of them. We have talked about satanic ritual abuse, sexual abuse, MK Ultra, mind control with trauma base. There are so many things we can talk with you, and I am just making an evocation of a few things. So
Yeah.
I don't know if some things important are missing. If you want to add them.
Oh, thanks. Well, I'd like to address something from when you started speaking just now, which is about the Draco. Some of them are free. They're not all part of the AI matrix construct. There are Draco who are living pure and free, who are living from their hearts. It's a smaller group, but they are directly responsible for a lot of the miracles in my life. And I just want to bring awareness to this and encourage people, especially targeted individuals, to get more conscious of these Draco who are free and call on them for assistance, because they're uniquely situated to be of service to us, because they can break the matrix stuff from the inside out. So I want to give my heartfelt thanks to the free Draco who have helped me and helped a lot of my clients. And may there be more of you every single day. Like there are Draco every day who break out of their AI programming and find a heart-centered reality and come back to Creator. It's still a minority, but every day there are more Draco who get free. And they try to contain them. When a Draco gets free of mind control, they try to hold them, they try to imprison them, but it never works, because the Draco have all the powers of the capo, as you've been calling them. I think the concentration camp analogy is a really good one. I think we could really benefit from those analogies. And on that thread, I just want to mention the Markmans. Some of them also died in the Holocaust, and so there's a very direct connection to the historical Nazis on many levels. also, I have many, many clients who have had to deal with clones of Mengele, androids that are made to look like Mengele, and he's still torturing people. And, and to this day, people are remembering him, like it's 1950 or something. Or 40 or 30. They're still remembering that, but it's false versions of him. They're using his image. Some of them are holograms, but they really do fetishize the Nazi era. And they recycle a lot of those faces and a lot of that imagery when they're torturing people. So yeah, I definitely believe you about that. I want to say that. I know all of this was from a few beats ago, but just things that I was mulling over as we've been talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you said just before is interesting because you say that the manipulation on us from the fake matrix is not on a very, very deep level. It means that, for example, because if this fake matrix could be so fake that even the military bases would be fake. Even the aliens that we can see there, they would be fake. They would be kind of avatar. So so many things can be fake. So how can we distinguish what it is not fake? How we can be sure?
Well, I guess I'll just return to my initial statement. What is based in love is what is trustworthy. What has the beat of the human heart in a real rhythmic way, in a true musical way, a life-giving way, a love-centered way. That is life. Life happens according to a rhythm. The rhythm is deeper than anything that has been imposed on it later. It's deeper than any of the layers that have been put on top of it. So, we all have that heartbeat that tells us what an organic rhythm is. And it's an unfailing guide to what is real and true and trustworthy and full of spirit. If there's one overarching message of my work, it's trust your body. That's my big message, like for everything. It helps trauma-based mind control survivors to get their memories back that are not consciously accessible. But it also helps for everything. It helps in every area of life, even if you are not a mind control survivor. There's a reason our culture is so set on trying to get people out of their body and, having these very sedentary lifestyles that are very physically unhealthy, eating all these bad foods. Like this is all part of the greater plan to get people numb to their senses. So I'm a big advocate of all kinds of embodiment, getting people into their senses. I think it's for me, it's the single most reliable strategy that I have used with myself and my clients to great effect. I think, at least if I'm any example, I think it does really work. It's slow, but it works really well. And that's my own kind of soapbox, but I do want to share that.
Yeah. So trust your body, and you will get free from the manipulation of the fake matrix tricks.
Yes.
And trust your heart, and you will be free from the torture, maybe also. So you told also that you have been helped by other aliens to be freed yourself first, and now you are helping other people with trauma or being controlled to find the resilience and get free and get free themselves. So who are these aliens capable of?
Oh yeah,
helping?
my good friends. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I'll start with the negative groups because, as I mentioned, there are free Draco. There are also free Sirius B people. There are people who are of the control groups, who are of the Capo groups, but they are free. So there are free Orion beings, there are free Draco beings, free Anunnaki beings, free Saurian beings, free Greys. Some of my greatest lessons have been from the liberated Zeta Reticulans who are operating from heart-based consciousness. There are a lot of Draco now who are free. It's probably almost half of them, I think. I want to say about 40% now. The Free Zeta Society has been expanding. There have been positive hybridization programs between the Free Zeta and humans, consensual hybridization, not forced, love-based hybridization. And I'm a big fan of all that. So I want to name that these negative groups, just like humans, all humans will never be corrupted. With these other groups, there are many of their members who are doing good and who have helped me personally and who help my clients. Positive Zeta, positive Sirius B beings, positive Syrians, positive Anunnaki, even. Those are more rare, but it does happen. We're all in this together. Those who appear to be our enemies in the greater picture are part of the dance of life, and we're all part of a dance of mutual evolution. So, regardless of the roles that are being played here, who's evil and who's good, who's fake and who's real, it's all part of the dance of greater consciousness. Ultimately, everything is creator, including the bad guys. So, anyway, that's just some basic spiritual stuff that I'm into. Um, as far as other groups, I call my business Ontarian Journeys. Antares is the central star of the Scorpio constellation. It's the brightest star. The literal meaning of the name is rival to Mars. It's a big red star in the sky. It looks a lot like Mars. And the beings who have helped me the most are from there. So I give great credit to these beings from the Scorpio constellation. We could call them Scorpionic. I just prefer Ontarian. That's the specific star, but whatever language is good. So these are eighth dimensional beings. That means they are above the matrix. They are above good and evil. And they've been a great source of perspective for me, not just to survive, but to evolve, to learn. They've been great teachers for me, and I channel them quite routinely. So that's the most obvious group that I can name.
Okay.
Positive group. Yeah.
And what can you bring to a targeted individual like me? If I go to one of your session that you are able to give for people who want to find a resilience from trauma, what can you propose for a targeted individual?
Well, freedom ultimately is the goal. Complete freedom, not conditional freedom. I mean, I would love to help stop the sexual assaults, for instance. I mean, I know it's very personal, but you were sharing here, so I guess I'll speak to that. I ideally, I'm not always successful, but sometimes I am. My team does what they can. I work with a very large team of beings. I have different ones that I channel, different ones that are part of me. I have aspects of myself from different timelines that are working, in the greater picture of things to help people get free. So we can do a lot. We can unravel a lot of fake things and ideally just completely stop the targeting. It's very ambitious, but if there's a big goal, that's it.
Yeah. So I'm going to give people your email address because maybe they would like to contact you
Yeah,
because
sure.
I think you are proposing just I think it's $80 or $100. I don't remember for one session, private session, for finding a way to get some resilience by
Yeah.
talking with you. I don't remember. Can you just give
Oh,
some little
yeah,
details
yeah.
and I will show your
Sure.
email address.
Sure. Yeah, the private sessions are $200 US, which I know can be a bit pricey. But it's comparable to what a good therapist will charge. So I think I'm worth at least that much. So yeah, it's $200 for individual sessions. They're an hour and 15 minutes. I also offer groups that are drop-in and by donation. So if people don't have the money to do individual sessions, sometimes they can get benefit from group sessions. So that's also an option. Yeah, those are the main, containers that I offer.
Yeah. And if I want to make a try with you, maybe I can book a date later. Can you make me a little discount?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'm going to show the audience your email address. It's Alondra at the rate of riseup.net.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct.
So they can contact you if they want to be in touch with you, ask you any question, and maybe book a session with you to find a way to cure their trauma, because this is um, your specialty now that you have made a kind of good, efficient resilience on yourself. Then you can bring that to others now.
That's true. Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay,
Hmm.
so I think that
I,
we have.
I should probably say I tend to work with people who are already pretty far along in the process of getting free.
Okay.
Um, I have much more success with people who have already cultivated a lot of this equanimity and who have cultivated meditation and spiritual practice. Usually, I can be of more service to people who are more advanced. I think for beginners, it's much more important to start a basic meditation practice and to work with conventional therapy. I mean, conventional therapy can be so helpful. It helped me so much to go through more mainstream trauma therapy. Usually people who find me have already gone through those things. And so I work with those who are a little more advanced and a little closer to freedom. Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have some little words as a conclusion, and then we are going to finish
Oh,
the show,
oh,
or
I
else? Yeah.
I I I appreciate this time. I appreciate you telling your story. I appreciate your vulnerability. I mean, I gather that this is normal for your show space, but I still appreciate it. You know, those are some very tender things to share. So I appreciate that. Um, yeah, I look forward to yeah, maybe meeting some new people, working with some new people. That would be fun. I'm very fond of French culture. A lot of my family goes back through France, and I speak a bit of French. Probably not quite well enough to do a full session, but I understand better than I speak. So for your French speaking audience, I can understand most of it. I spent a little time in the Pyrenees, and I really enjoyed that. I was doing organic farming, woofing, and that was really lovely. And a lot of my this is yeah, the some of my perpetrators took me to France, and I have some big connections there. I want to name those. Yeah, so a big cultural affinity. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that you have done some time traveling back in the middle age in France to manipulate
Hmm.
the timeline
Yeah.
with
Yeah, this is true.
French kings, but you
Yes,
have
this
not
is true.
manipulated the recent history in France.
Not that I'm aware of, no. You never know. Maybe I'll find a new alter inside who says that he's done things like that. I remain open to new information because some of this stuff is so just crazy. It takes
Yeah.
decades, for some of it to come back. So yeah.
And you know, in the Apocalypse in the Bible, it is said so many things we don't know if exactly if all these things are going to really happen, or if it's also a kind of Truman Show and a script. But people say that maybe around the year 2030, we are going either to see the world collapse or getting total freedom.
Oh, or both. Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to make my bell ring, and then
Mm,
we will make a prayer for humanity, and so that the freedom will be the issue on 2030, and I hope sooner, but because the sooner is the better. So
mm,
let's pray for everyone to find a way to his resiliency, a way to his happiness, full of love for himself and for others. And
mm.
let's pray also for the good aliens to come into contact with the humans who are
Mm.
calling them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too, and you're welcome.
Okay, bye bye.
Okay, bye.
I'm going to finish the show in French language
Yeah,
by
cool.
alone.
Looking forward.
Okay,
Okay, well,
see you.
great to spend time. Bye.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the show, and I'm going to speak in French for 1 minute. Mesdames et messieurs, l'émission avec Alondra Markman est terminée. Et donc, je vous invite à revenir la voir lundi avec des sous-titres en français, car je vais faire les sous-titres en français. Et donc, les sous-titres en français seront mis sur certaines plateformes, sur cette vidéo que vous êtes en train de regarder en direct. Les sous-titres en français seront rajoutés lundi. Mais sur certaines plateformes, la vidéo sera rediffusée en direct avec les sous-titres, car sur certaines plateformes, on ne peut pas rajouter les sous-titres en français. Et puis, je pense que mardi ou mercredi, je rediffuserai la version longue des 3 vidéos que j'avais faites en 2023, où je lisais l'article « Les armes bionano électromagnétiques ». Et donc, ça va faire à peu près 4h, 4h30, parce que ça sera les trois émissions en une seule émission. L'article en entier sera relu. C'est une rediffusion avec un nouveau montage, version complète. Alors, j'ai pas réussi à faire une version courte, ça sera 4h, 4h30, mais ça sera tout l'article d'un seul coup. Et je diffuserai ça probablement mardi ou mercredi. Il y avait aussi 2 ou 3 vidéos que j'avais faites en 2024 et 2025 en anglais, et il n'y avait jamais eu de sous-titres en français. Je vais voir si d'ici mercredi, je peux arriver à les remettre avec des sous-titres en français. Il y avait une émission avec Juxtaposition, et puis il y avait aussi une vidéo avec Karen Melton Stewart, et je sais plus, il y avait 2 ou 3 vidéos que j'avais pas réussi à diffuser avec les sous-titres. Je vais essayer de le faire. Et puis, à partir du 5 mars, et je ferai peut-être une vidéo le 4 mars pour vous l'expliquer à nouveau, je vais arrêter mes émissions, et ça sera les émissions en direct de la chaîne de Pascal Trefangui, qui seront diffusées en direct sur toutes mes chaînes Truman Plus, à la place des miennes. Et donc, je vous dis bonsoir, méditez bien sur tout cela. À une prochaine fois, en sachant que, pour moi, c'est terminé. D'ailleurs, le docteur Couvreur arrête, lui aussi, toutes ses émissions. Et voilà.